Everyone wanted me dead, so I went ahead and died. At 25, I succumbed to cyberbullying. Then I woke up, and to my surprise, found myself back a decade. In my previous life, I was an influencer, hustling for likes and donations. This time, I'm taking control of my destiny. Best Actress is. The presenter paused on purpose, then loudly announced my name. Tracy. I covered my mouth in shock, tearing up with joy while maintaining my expression. The camera must have zoomed in on me. This moment would replay over and over, and I couldn't afford to lose composure. I did my best to stay graceful and walked up to the stage. The surprise and happiness were genuine. I didn't expect to win. Luckily, I habitually prepare for everything, so I had memorized my thank you list by heart. This was my first leading role in a movie. Never imagined I'd win an award. To me, it's not just praise, it's encouragement and a kick in the pants. I want to tell all the ordinary girls like me, don't be afraid, you can chase your dreams too. Thank you all. I'll keep working hard. I hugged the trophy and bowed deeply. After stepping off stage, my manager whisked me away to touch up my makeup. Tracy, you were incredible. You're trending in the top 3. My manager beamed with excitement. I glanced at my phone. Tracy Best Actress. Fairy tears. Ordinary girls can chase dreams too. The picture showed me, teary-eyed, holding the trophy. Clips of my reaction before and after winning have already been cut and analyzed from every angle. Winning is thrilling, but trending brings mixed feelings. I know too well how scary public opinion can be. They might lift you high now, only to crush you later. In my past life, I was just a small-time online influencer. But being in the spotlight, a much-watched actress, has always been my dream. To many, it probably seems like my acting career went smoothly. I started working with top directors in school, winning awards for my first lead role. Only I know how tough it really was. They say life doesn't offer second chances. Having won myself is pure luck. I know I have to work incredibly hard, what comes of it isn't for me to predict. But I'm scared. Terrified that if I slack, I'll end up miserable like before. At the awards after party, I ran into Dave. No surprise, his company sponsored the whole event. Some actresses flocked around him, all wearing flattery on their foreheads. Who could blame them? Single, handsome, he's the heir of the famous group, and has a newly listed internet company in NYC. Dave's got this scholarly gentleman vibe, a rare mix in business and showbiz. He stands out. Noticing my glance, Dave nodded slightly to acknowledge me. I headed straight over. Once they saw me, the actresses tactfully dispersed. Dave, nice to finally meet. Congratulations, Miss Tracy. I chuckled. No need for the formalities, we were high school classmates. Dave seemed surprised. Thought Miss Tracy might not remember me. Feels good that Dave remembers me too. Just Dave's fine. He scratched his cheek, back to that shy kid. Honestly, I didn't remember him. In my last life, when Dave said he was my schoolmate, I racked my brain and still couldn't match a face. His parents wanted him to grow up with average values, so they enrolled him in a public school. We were in the same year but different classes. After my rebirth, I paid more attention and spotted the young Dave. At 15, he was a chubby kid with so-so grades, definitely didn't stand out. Getting picked up by a regular car, you'd never guess he was rich. In uniform, student status differences were hidden. A rich kid like Dave got no notice, while I, the poor kid with standout looks, became the school star. Dave later confessed he'd had a crush on me since back then, but couldn't muster the courage to talk. Knowing his feelings this time around, I spotted his affection with ease. Still, in high school, I gave him the cold shoulder, just like last time. It wasn't the right time. But now it is. I'm no longer that broke girl, I've earned the right to speak to this rich guy. Tracy, congratulations. A deep, calm voice from behind made my hair stand on end. It was Mike. We'd met at some brand event, yet here he was using a familiar tone. He was still confident, poised, like a sharp-eyed predator. "Thank you." Mr. Mike's role was fantastic too, a pity it didn't win. I deliberately used polite words to keep my distance. I know Mike too well, the more indifferent you are to him, the more he cares. This time, Mike was up for Best Actor too, but lost to a popular young star. He shrugged, "Do your best and let fate decide. My job is just to do my best in every role." I kept smiling. Such smooth talk. If I hadn't been his girlfriend last time, I might believe him. Mike's talented but arrogant. In these moments, he calls me over, his voice calm. "Tracy, come here." Begging wouldn't help. "Don't worry, I won't damage your face." His long fingers brushed my cheek. Yeah, as an influencer, all that mattered was my on-camera face. Sometimes, after a long night, I could barely stand. Thinking back made me instinctively hug myself. With Mike, the big star, around, the crowd kept getting bigger. I gave Dave a nod and we slipped out together. Once outside the hall, we found a quiet corner in the hotel's garden. "There are some directors and producers over there. Aren't you going to say hi?" Dave asked. "I'm too tired today and don't feel like forcing myself to socialize." "Consider it a little treat for myself," I replied. I turned to look at him. After all, I did just win a big award today. In my previous life, I fought tooth and nail to attend all kinds of so-called high-end events, hoping to get more resources and earn more money. At one of those parties, Mike noticed me. As a minor internet celebrity, I was at the bottom of the food chain in that scene. I wore a tight dress to highlight my curves, with one strap falling off my shoulder on purpose to add a touch of sexiness and frailty. I thought I was clever, setting traps with my body. I would happily drink any drink handed to me, as I couldn't afford to offend anyone. Each of them, after all, could offer a chance to escape this lifestyle. While I was being plied with vodka, one after another, Mike showed up. He gently placed his hand over mine and spoke to the others, "Don't overdo it. Alcohol poisoning isn't a joke." They laughed it off easily and let me be. Even though my mind was fuzzy, I remember him holding my chin and smiling at me with amusement. Later, Mike told me the reason he noticed me was because of my reckless attitude. When he asked if I'd be his girlfriend, I was over the moon. As a big star, he could untangle things I couldn't ever fix on my own. With a wave of his hand, he moved me to a top-tier live streaming platform. Under Mike's protection, I quickly landed better commercial deals and gained more traffic. Back then, I thought I'd finally met someone good and could live a stable, happy life. It turned out all of this was part of his trap, slowly luring and consuming me. After reincarnation, my top goal was to get revenge on Mike. We worked on a movie together, and he invited me to dinner several times, which I refused. Given his arrogant nature, he wouldn't give up easily. But I'm no longer the Tracy who'd let anyone walk all over her. This time, he's the prey. "You haven't changed a bit," Dave observed, his gaze gentle. "Really?" I smiled, sipping my wine. I'm not sure what Dave sees in me that's worth holding dear. In my last life, when he found me, I was at rock bottom. Mike found someone to marry but still refused to leave me alone. During our relationship, he coaxed me into taking a lot of photos and videos. When I broke up with him, Mike leaked them all online. Of course, no one knew he was behind it. The streaming platform that had me signed to an exclusive contract sued me for posting elsewhere. Naturally, it was Mike who arranged for me to sign with them. When I signed the contract he brought, I didn't even bother to read it carefully. The court ruled in favor of the platform, demanding I pay a 9 million yuan breach penalty. I couldn't possibly pay such a sum, so I became labeled under restricted spending. I thought the ruling was unfair but had no other options. To pay the penalty and return to a normal life quickly, I worked even harder. Since offending the leading platform and having moral taint, good job offers eluded me. Some smaller platforms were willing to let me do borderline content. Of course, there were quicker ways to make money, but I stubbornly stood my ground, unwilling to sink further. Thankfully, China is big, and even being a washed-up minor celebrity, third and fourth tier cities still had model or host gigs for me. Of course, the outfits for these events were quite revealing. I ran into Dave again at one such event. A guest tried to harass me, and I resisted, gripping his wrist. "Stop pretending, I saw the videos online," he sneered. "Name your price." The crowd watched indifferently, even the nearby security wouldn't step in. While I pondered how to escape, a towering figure lifted him away. "Didn't you hear her say no?" Scram! He was about to argue, but seeing it was Dave, he thought better of it and slinked off. Honestly, even if Dave hadn't intervened, I had ways to handle it. I had been through this many times, becoming pretty seasoned. Still, I was grateful to him. After the event, Dave asked me to have some Japanese food. I politely declined, and he chuckled. "You really don't remember me?" I tilted my head, puzzled. As a minor internet celebrity who never attended college, and him a prestigious school grad and entrepreneur, I thought we'd have no connections. Backstreet High School, I was in class 2. You were in class 6. Recognition dawned. Come to think of it, I had a vague memory. "Don't blame you, I was a chubby kid back then," Dave cheerfully said, waving it off. He turned serious, handing me a business card. "This is Lucy, a lawyer. Contact her and I'll cover the costs." I wanted to chat over dinner, but let's skip it. If I confess now, it'd seem like I'm taking advantage. He slipped the card into my hand and left, leaving me standing there, stunned. In my toughest times, Dave was the only one who reached out to help, the only one who didn't want anything from me. It was a long time before Dave told me he had a crush on me since middle school. During lunch breaks, I'd sit by the library window, reading alone, quiet as a magnolia. By the time he saw news about me again, I was the infamous one, where everyone avoided me like the plague. In my past life, I never understood why Dave couldn't let go of me. Maybe young love just doesn't come with a reason. The girl he once liked wasn't as innocent the next time they met. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of first love, hard to fully let go, right? I needed Dave's strength to get revenge on Mike. The old Dave couldn't even forget an easy target called a sinner online. So this version of him, facing a glamorous movie star, naturally couldn't resist. After the event, my manager picked me up for the hotel. We chose a hidden entrance, but fans still spotted us. "Tracy. Congrats on the award. Can we get a picture? Could you sign an autograph for me?" My manager shielded me. "Sorry, Miss Tracy is really tired. No pictures, please. It's her private time, please show respect." Hotel security soon arrived, and my manager and I finally got away. That night, Tracy acting like a diva hit the trending topics. On short video platforms, there were clips from all angles, edited to make my manager look aggressive. "Just one Best Actress and already like this? Think you're so special, 'cause you're a star. Never liked her, her acting's overrated. Face is average, can't even remember it." My manager texted me, telling me not to worry. I replied, "Free trending topic, all good. Rest early." She sent back a thumbs up emoji. After experiencing a storm in my past life, this stuff barely fazed me. I tossed my phone aside and continued reading the script. Public opinion flipped fast, of course. Tracy never allows photos from the start. True fans would know. Stalkers are this bold? I've met her, she's stunning in person. Said no to pics but signed, no attitude at all. As expected. This turnaround relied on my long-term positive reputation. I've always been kind, professional, and polite. I've learned many tricks to make people happy as an influencer. And I've learned as a public figure, try not to upset anyone. Of course, I knew the underlying reason the situation reversed. The world favors the stronger side. I'm a rising star, so all the accolades come my way. That small incident that didn't favor me faded because someone released a full video from a different angle, showing my manager being professional and me being kind throughout. In the end, not taking photos somehow turned into proof of my dedication to improving my acting skills. The idea of being photographed creeped me out so much that not just fan photos, even magazine shoots were rare for me. Only while acting, transforming into someone else, could I bear being on camera. Funny how an actress could have such a fear of the lens. When Mike first suggested taking photos, I was reluctant. Just for myself, won't spread. Everyone does it, it's no big deal. Just a keepsake. Don't be scared. Under his sweet talk, I eventually agreed. When the photos got out, many said it was my own fault. In a sense, maybe it was. I was tricked by his charm, posed as directed, and it was all captured. He promised to introduce me to better gigs. That wasn't the main reason I agreed, though. I let myself be photographed because I loved Mike. I believed he loved me too. Mike found me a new talent agency, and they did connect me with better brands and primetime streams. Soon, I went from being a low-key influencer to a top online personality. Paparazzi caught us a few times, but Mike's agency always suppressed them. Mike always wore sunglasses, a mask, and a low fisherman's hat in public, making it hard to say who he was in the pictures. In those photos, I looked small and innocent, just another young girl you'd see anywhere. Kind of pretty, but not memorable at all. In those photos, not many cared who I was. Mike's fans couldn't be bothered to argue. Who's this wannabe, trying to bask in our guy's spotlight? Is that Mike? Could be anyone. I could say it's me too. So what if it is? They're not even doing anything. Mike was careful and never showed affection in public. Outwardly, he seemed polite and proper, only showing his true colors when the lights went out. Like a demon, tearing me apart and slowly devouring me piece by piece. Clearly, Mike never loved me. The opportunities he gave me, he could take back anytime. I was trapped in his carefully crafted cage, thinking I had freedom. When I said I wanted to act, Mike's attitude shifted. He dangled it over my head, making me more obedient, while subtly hinting that with my looks and skills, my dream was foolishly impossible. He introduced me to some abysmal web dramas, then used the bad reviews to attack my capabilities. She's really not cut out to be an actress. Pretty but soulless. Some influencers and actors are like oil and water. My online live streams were doing great. Some clips of me cleverly responding to viewer comments got turned into short videos and went viral on different platforms. After my name kept popping up in trending searches, some solid acting opportunities came my way. But Mike made me turn them all down. He'd always find a reason: the script wasn't right, the director was bad, or the co-star had a bad reputation. My agency, which Mike introduced me to, listened to him more than they did me. I had no control over what roles I could take or not take. Mike called all the shots. Was I not cut out to be an actress? I held the Best Actress trophy and smirked a bit. Mike just wanted to keep me trapped in the little world he'd created for me. I could have stayed oblivious and lived a comfy life in that small world. Too bad Mike didn't allow that either. He was caught on camera with actress Emma, coming and going together. This time, he only wore sunglasses, practically making it official. Emma was a talented actress, someone I could never compete with in my past life. Fans from both sides claimed it was just promo hype, but I knew they were actually dating. Emma didn't even know I existed. To her, Mike was probably a great catch, matched in status, talented, and with a good reputation in the industry. To Mike, Emma was the perfect partner. Whatever happened, it wouldn't hurt his image. Both agencies were okay with it. Two such people spinning relationship rumors didn't hurt anyone, and at the very least, it promoted their new shows. Over a few months, their relationship became an open secret in the industry. The paparazzi photos were probably staged. I broke it off with Mike. At this point, disappearing quietly was the best option for everyone. Surprisingly, Mike refused. He gripped my chin, looking at me with interest, much like when we first met. Jealous? I bit my lip, trying not to look away. She's better for you, let me go. Mike smirked, you don't get to decide what's good for me. His hand moved from my chin to grab my hair from behind. What right do you have to break up with me? I made you, and destroying you is easier than squashing an ant. I didn't dare struggle too much, tears filled my eyes from the pain. Aren't you afraid Emma will find out? Mike's eyes narrowed dangerously, like a lizard. Are you threatening me? No, I'm not. Have I been too nice to you? Talking to me like that. I'm just looking out for you. My submission seemed to calm him down. Mike pulled me closer, planting a predatory kiss on my lips. Holding me tight, he whispered softly in my ear, don't worry about any of this. You're just a dog I keep, just wag your tail when I need it. I shoved him away. You don't need me anymore, why not let me go? For once, Mike didn't explode. He even had a slight smile. When you regret it later, remember you're the one who wanted out. My agent called, quickly going over my schedule for the next few days. Get some rest. She paused, then added, congratulations again, Tracy. You deserve it. I thanked her and hung up. Life's a flip. Many media outlets framed my award win as a comeback story. They didn't know, I had poured everything into it after a hellish first round in life. In the digital age, whoever stands taller gets to define the truth. Emma was also nominated for Best Actress this time. At the award party, she made a point to come over, her eyes sparkling, telling me how much she loved my performance. Unlike Mike, she's not naturally bad. Emma's just a regular person, easily swayed by opinions. In my past life, I tried asking her for help. Mike's lying to you, he's not who you think. Then, she just looked at me and walked away. The look in her eyes was like I was trash she couldn't stand to be near. I couldn't exactly like her, but I didn't deeply hate her either. She simply did what many others did, believed fabricated stories and chose to stay out of it. I woke up suddenly, drenched in sweat as if I was pulled from a river. Rushing to the bathroom, I dry heaved over the toilet. Probably because I'd been thinking too much about my past life before bed, I had that nightmare again. Even knowing it was just a dream, I couldn't stop shaking. Wiping away tears from my retching, I took a deep breath to calm down. In my past life, Mike had meticulously plotted to ruin me. The world accepted the idea of him and Emma as a golden couple. Both sides acknowledged their close bond, both professionally and personally, constantly giving fans something to talk about. That's when my anonymous Twitter account got exposed. It was my secret haven online where I chronicled life's little details, including tidbits about Mike and me. To Mike's fans, all those posts were pure fantasy, fiction. I was labeled crazy, delusional, a worthless being trying to disrupt Mike and Emma's relationship. I was stunned. I called Mike, hoping he'd clear things up. He never picked up and eventually just blocked me. It took me a long time to realize this was all his doing. He watched and laughed from the shadows. Why would he ever set things straight for me? Then came the leak of private photos and videos. I had no idea how many there were in total. Only a small part of them asked for my consent before shooting. The rest were taken sneakily by him. All those awkward expressions and poses, things you'd only reveal to someone you trust, were displayed for everyone to see. Anonymous eyes kept judging, chewing over, and revisiting them. I wanted to fight back but realized I had no proof. Mike contacted me using a different phone number and logged into message with that. Of course, that number wasn't registered in his name. If your phone gets stolen and someone hacks your message, wouldn't it be trouble? He explained while gently ruffling my hair, like calming a mischievous puppy. I followed him on both my main and side accounts, but he never followed back. He had all these personal photos of me, yet I didn't keep a single photo with him in my phone to avoid affecting him. So naive, really so naive. How could a small-town, inexperienced girl compete with a big star like Mike? Online attacks were one thing, worse was the betrayal by family. How could you film such videos with someone? Not even a prostitute would do that. You've disgraced the whole family. Your dad is about to jump off a building. We told you to get married and have kids early, and you wouldn't listen. What were you up to, dirty money? What about your brother's prospects for finding a wife? How can we face anyone? If I were you, I'd be better off dead. My parents bombarded me with insults. They're my family, so they know where it hurts most. When I used my money to help buy a house for my brother, they were all smiles. Then, right on cue, Mike launched another attack. I received a lawyer's letter from that big streaming platform. They said since I signed an exclusive deal with them, I couldn't upload anything on other platforms. Videos of me on different platforms meant I breached the contract and owed them $9 million in damages. I felt completely lost. Those videos weren't uploaded by me, I was the victim. How could I owe money? $9 million? I'd never earned that much, even after years of hard work. I thought I'd win the lawsuit, but I didn't. Big platforms have top legal teams, and I couldn't prove who uploaded the videos. Unable to pay, I got put on the list restricting high spending. Later, I joked with Dave, saying that when you think you're at rock bottom, there might be 18 levels of hell below. It was funny, but he didn't laugh. The phone kept ringing in the bedroom. I couldn't be bothered to pick it up, slowly brushing my teeth and washing my face. Close friends would text me, and work mattered would go through my manager. The ringing finally stopped, only to start again a few seconds later. I frowned, picked up the phone, and sure enough, it was my dad. "Tracy, saw on the news you won a big award. Musta got a nice bonus, right?" I felt annoyed. "What do you want?" "Your brother's house needs more for renovation," he started. I cut him off coldly. "If it's not enough, let him figure it out. I'm not an ATM. Why are you talking to your dad like that? I heard your necklace yesterday was worth millions. Don't be so stingy with family." I laughed in disbelief. The award ceremony jewelry was borrowed from a brand, not bought. And besides, it's my own money earned through my efforts. How I spend it is up to me. You know exactly how generous or stingy I've been. I've paid off your gambling debts before and send you monthly allowances. He softened. "Why bring up old things?" I interrupted again. "Stop calling me. Every time you do, your monthly allowance will drop by $5,000. I hung up, feeling much clearer. Anger isn't good for you, but it can sometimes pull you out of negativity. After venting, I felt much sharper. I'm an award-winning actress now, not that pushover from before. After my suicide at 25, I traveled back 10 years. In this second chance at life, I focused on two things in the first 5 years, studying hard and distancing myself from my original family. With effort, I got into a better university than in my previous life, majoring in the drama I longed for. My parents opposed it with familiar complaints about costs, useless education for girls, and needing to earn money for my brother's house. Back then, I caved under that pressure and settled for a college. But this time, I'm not easily swayed. No matter what, I would attend this school. My parents threw a fit, resorting to emotional blackmail, calling me selfish and ungrateful. They eventually disowned me, demanding I attend college without their support. I happily complied. With my professor's help, I secured student loans and enrolled smoothly. Luckily, the tight situation didn't last. I gained some fame soon after starting school. During auditions, examiners lit up when seeing me, praising me everywhere as a rare talent. I topped both my major and academics. Teachers knew about my struggles and helped by recommending gigs. These roles were small, but I dedicated myself fully, memorizing even my co-actors' lines thoroughly. After living 2 lives, I'm finally close to my dreams. I'll seize every chance. I'm not only able to endure hardships, but I also value my reputation a lot. After experiencing online harassment in my past life, I would never take sketchy jobs, no matter how much I need money. And I wouldn't get into messy relationships either. Instead, I'm focused on studying, working hard, and honing my acting skills. This won me a lot of appreciation from my teachers. Many famous directors and actors are alums of this college, and some of them started noticing my growing reputation. Just like that, more and more job offers poured in for me, and they kept getting better. I've had my share of tough times, but compared to my past life, they're not that big of a deal. Once my parents saw I was doing okay, they stopped talking about cutting ties with me. Somehow, they got my number and called me for money occasionally. We eventually reached an agreement. I'd give them a fixed amount of living expense every month, but that'd be the end of our contact. When I was at my lowest and felt utterly helpless, the people closest to me didn't give me a safe harbor. They scolded me, called me a disgrace, and told me I deserved my fate. The root of all suffering in life is really not being able to choose your parents. I guess the money is a thank you for giving me life. The phone rang again. I picked up, grumpy, only to find out it was my agent. What's up? Woke up on the wrong side of the bed? My agent knew that's not usually how I am, so she wasn't mad. Sorry, just got off a ridiculous scam call. I rubbed my brow, feeling tired. She said there's a new movie by director Jack and they want me to play the female lead. The company had evaluated it and thought it was a great opportunity. I asked her to send over the contract. I scanned through it and then forwarded it to Lucy. Lucy is my personal lawyer. I let her review all my contracts. Even though I've signed with a decent agency this time around, I trust Lucy more than their legal team. Lucy quickly highlighted the points to watch out for and added her revisions. Going through the contract, I couldn't help but feel that if I had met Lucy earlier, my chances of getting saved in my last life would have been better. Back then, I'd already lost the case and faced restrictions. Lucy, after reading all the case files, said she could help me appeal. She also urged me to gather evidence to sue those who harassed me online. If I had been a bit stronger, maybe with Lucy's help, I could have turned things around. But unfortunately, I wasn't strong enough and got crushed by the overwhelming malice. This time, I found Lucy early on. Back then, she was just a junior lawyer and I was just an emerging actress. Lucy found it odd that I hired her as my personal lawyer. I just smiled and said a friend recommended her. In the past life, Lucy had mentioned that if she had stepped in earlier, the case wouldn't have ended as it did. Dave introduced Lucy to me and even promised to fully support my appeal. I was frank with him, being close to me does you no good. At that time, I was worried about hurting him and suspicious of his intentions. Dave pressed his lips. Not everyone close to you is in it for personal gain. Looking back, that's probably the sweetest thing I'd heard in my past life. I didn't quite get it, but I was moved by it. The feeling was mutual with a lot of netizens. I never thought I'd stir up another wave of online harassment as an already restricted D-list influencer. Paparazzi snapped photos of me with Dave, claiming I was changing tactics, clinging to a tech industry billionaire. Gossip sites educated everyone about Dave's family and entrepreneurial background, just to prove how remarkable it was for me to get with someone like him. The saying goes, when you think you've hit rock bottom, there's always further to fall, hell with 18 levels. It's a joke, but Dave wasn't laughing. They could say whatever they wanted about me, but I couldn't stand it when the harm spread to others. My stomach started hurting and I began retching. One morning while brushing my hair, I found a bald patch on my head. Alopecia. Dave tried to comfort me, saying he genuinely didn't mind and asked me to let it go too. But how could I? He's the only person in the world who stayed close to me not for personal gains. Because I couldn't eat properly, I quickly became thin. Maybe feeling sorry for me, during an event, one of Mike's staff approached me in secret, revealing that all this was orchestrated by Mike. Aside from the agency, Mike ran a ghostwriting service. The orchestrated public opinion war against me was their handiwork. Give in, you can't beat him. They left me with those words. But I didn't back down. I planned a live broadcast to reveal all the truths. Little did I know, that broadcast would be the last straw that broke me. During the broadcast, I told everything, but nobody believed me. She seems mentally unstable. Delusional? Schizophrenic? She seems completely unhinged, kinda feel sorry. What's there to pity? She's got more money than you. Her chest is real big and white, Dave isn't losing out. I don't know if Mike sent people to stir things up, but in the end, it didn't matter what I said, the screen was full of vile comments. Many don't understand, but verbal abuse can knock someone out cold. I wasn't a weak person. In a clear state of mind, would never choose to take my own life. But that day, the verbal onslaught blacked me out. I turned off the broadcast and jumped out of a 27th floor window. In this life, Mike is still determined to have me. But now, my standing has risen from something he could squash anytime to the same level as before Emma. No longer just a plaything, now more like a trophy. Conquering me would be exhilarating, showing me off even better. Yet, how I've always seen him hasn't changed, an affliction to be eradicated, a monster in human guise. Mike has a system of trapping young girls with little resources. This time around, I decided to take him down, not just out of personal vendetta but because I can't pretend it's not happening. Having gone through pain, you don't want anyone else to experience the same kind of suffering. After I won the award, opportunities to work with Mike suddenly increased. Some of it was because my own reputation had improved, but mostly it seemed to be because Mike wanted it. As we worked together more, I naturally got closer to him. When we goofed around during filming breaks, we'd quickly show up on the trending lists. Maybe because both of our public images are pretty positive, our fans were more than happy to buy into any romance rumors about us. The whole gentleman god, and earthly angel, narrative quickly shot to the top of fan discussions. I understood that in this life, I occupied the same place with Mike as Emma did in the past. While I played along with the rumors about us, I began gathering evidence that could take Mike down. I sent Lucy a company name. I wanted to ask if you could help me with two things. First, figure out this company's connection to Mike. Second, gather evidence of them extorting breach of contract fees from streamers. This company was the leading streaming platform Mike had switched me to in the past. I knew they had sued numerous small streamers for hefty breach fees. It was a bit of a running joke. People claimed they made it to the top by exploiting breach fees rather than their business skills. I was one of those small streamers they bled dry, so I knew their tricks inside out. I briefly explained this to Lucy. Being sharp as a tack, she instantly grasped the nastiness within. What a bunch of trash. She sent back an angry emoji. Lucy's not only a lawyer with rock-solid skills but also someone who wears her heart on her sleeve. I also told Dave about how Mike was exploiting and toying with small streamers. He hurt one of my friends, and I can't forgive him. Can you help me with this? That's how I explained my motivation to Dave, which wasn't really a lie. No problem, he agreed without hesitation. I never quite grasped why, in either life, Dave was so willing to help me. Seeing my confusion, he scratched his head a bit shyly. I know whatever you ask is not going to be a bad thing. Back in school, you were always reading books. People who love to read aren't bad people. I couldn't help but internally roll my eyes at his naivety. There are bad intellectuals after all, but I begrudgingly accepted his simple-minded reasoning. Maybe he's just dazzled by my looks. Dave's task was to infiltrate Mike's circle of friends and find dirt that could bring him down. In the past, Mike would often drag me along to hang out with his shady friends. Back then, I was just their plaything, so they really let loose around me. These people were talented and good-looking, but the world was probably just too dull for them. They often did drugs and bullied girls, knowing that if they ever got into trouble, money would solve it. Now, even if Mike officially dates me, he'd still hold back and put on an act around a celebrity like me. But it's different with Dave. Around another guy, Mike would definitely be more relaxed and let his guard down. Initially, everything went as planned. Dave easily got into Mike's circle. Mike's friends were all rich and wild young people. Dave himself was a second-generation millionaire who started his own internet company and took his family's business to a new level. On top of that, he was handsome and single. The only reason Mike hadn't invited him before was because Dave had been too straight-laced. Once Dave showed the slightest interest, he was immediately invited to join their club. However, quite some time passed, and Mike would only invite Dave to more tame gatherings. Since I was considered Mike's trophy, I often got invited to these parties too. Jokingly, Dave would tease Mike, saying, "I was going to make a move on Miss Tracy, but you beat me to it." Mike laughed proudly but responded gracefully, "I wouldn't dare say I've won Tracy's heart yet. I've got to keep an eye out for you, my love rival." But these lukewarm parties were not what Dave was after. After a few times, he got straight to the point with Mike. "Everyone says Mike's parties are the best, but I didn't expect them to be so." He shrugged, searching for the right word. "Boring." Mike laughed, glancing over in my direction. Pretending to talk lively with others, I didn't seem to notice them at all. Internally, I gave Dave a massive high five. His acting was better than most young actors out there. Whispering something into Dave's ear, Mike raised an eyebrow, and Dave smiled. It worked. Dave, being a true gentleman brought up right, needed some tips not to get nervous around Mike. I shared details of how Mike used to treat me during our past life, so Dave could use it to blend in. "How do you know all this so clearly?" he asked, frowning. "I had a model friend who was bullied by Mike and his gang, and she ended up taking her life," I said, tears welling in my eyes. Those details were what she confided in me. I just can't pretend I don't know. I can't let them get away with this. The humiliating memories from the past surged forward, and my tears were no longer just for show. Dave hugged me, gently rubbing my back to comfort me. "See, I wasn't wrong," he said. "You're not someone who'd do bad things." The things I asked Dave to do could very well tarnish his reputation. But he trusted me fully and followed me every step deeper into danger. I hugged him back, leaning up to kiss him. Half of it was genuine, half was guilt. Guided by me, Dave gradually got into Mike's core group. And they were absolutely repulsive. He texted me to complain. "It's hard on you." I sent back a cute cat meme. Then he sent me a few photos. They were pictures of Mike drunk, kissing a girl. Before I could say anything, Dave texted again. "Not enough, I get it." "Yeah, it's not enough. For someone like Mike, we need something big, something that crushes him." "No worries, let's wait it out, be safe first." Dave isn't the naive me from before. And Mike, even if he suspects Dave, can't do much. But Dave is my only chance. If Mike stops trusting him, I might never get enough evidence. Better to be slow and sure. I advised Dave not to take more pictures for a while when he's with Mike. He laughed softly. "They're all taking pictures, they just don't care." It took me a few seconds to realize. Only the prey fears the camera, not them. They take pictures to relive the moments, boast, or use them as leverage against each other. So, solid evidence was easier to get than I thought. Mike quickly took Dave to a more private club. He showed him thrilling stuff. With alcohol and drugs fueling them, everyone showed their most raw and hideous sides. But Mike had a lot of self-control. Even with all his other vices, he stayed away from drugs. Since Mike didn't do drugs, he didn't think it was odd when Dave refused them too. Mike saw Dave as a fellow high-level player in the game of life. Dave finally got evidence that could ruin Mike. There was a picture with Mike holding a half-naked girl, clearly out of it, with a table full of drinks and drug traces in front of him. Then, Dave sent me a location pin. "Call the cops." Even though this was the plan, I hesitated for a moment. If I call the cops, Dave would get caught too. I wasn't sure how much this blemish would affect him. But I knew calling the cops was the only right choice. If I just anonymously leaked pictures like Mike did to me, his connections and PR company would bury it. They might even claim Mike wasn't in the pictures at all, just the victim of AI face-swapping technology. To bring Mike down, I had to call the police while releasing the photos. Decision made, I picked up my phone. Cops arrived quickly. They took Mike and everyone, including Dave, to the station. Meanwhile, Lucy's investigation was going smoothly too. Turns out, Mike was the real boss behind that major streaming platform. He picked girls to prey on, used mental games, and drained their value. If they resisted, he'd use unfair contracts to pile debt on them. Just like he did to me. I sent Dave's pictures to Lucy so she could give them to the victims. Soon, media platforms were buzzing with the story about Mike using drugs. Even though his PR team quickly denied everything, those photos were just too shocking. While they struggled to control the narrative, the police report came out. It bluntly confirmed that the star had indeed been using illegal substances. Mike denied everything, claiming he was set up. Only a few hardcore fans believed him. Even if the drug claim wasn't true, photos of him partying with young girls didn't fit his gentleman image. And since the cops confirmed the drug use, this wasn't just social suicide, it meant real jail time. I'm innocent. I'm being framed. On TV, Mike shouted helplessly from custody, with none of his former swagger. He really didn't do drugs. It was Dave, slipping something into his drink when he wasn't looking. The urine test was undeniable, making his protests useless. I didn't see him as that kinda guy. My family's in the drug enforcement. I despise people like him. Wow, he's fallen so hard. They should take down all his old shows too. Don't worry, I checked. All his stuff is already gone. Now Mike knows how it feels to be wronged and harassed online. Girls he had messed with started speaking out. Finally, people listened. Thanks to Lucy, those massive penalty fees got deemed unfair. Some desperate girls were pulled back from the brink. A lot of them had private photos and videos taken without consent. Maybe it was the number of victims or Mike's complete downfall, but public sentiment was different from when it was me. Focus on trashing Mike, not the girls. Hope these girls can spot guys like him next time. Stop blaming the victims. They didn't deserve this. If you're asking for those pics, seriously, be human. The cops sealed the photos and videos. Some of the blackmailed girls got brave enough to sue. They should get a fresh start and chase a brighter future. Once the dust settled, I took Dave out for dinner to thank him. Glad we got evidence quickly, those folks were disgusting. I almost couldn't fake it any longer. Dave chuckled, relaxed. All checks came back clean, so he got out fast. Yet, gossip sites still twisted and spun rumors. Sorry for wrecking your rep. He laughed heartily. What am I afraid of? I'm not even in the entertainment business. Dave has his own thing going on. Sponsoring film awards and occasionally investing in movies are just a part of his vast empire. He can handle whatever people say. I don't care much, but I'm not letting those gossip accounts off easy either. Dave said seriously, they need to be accountable for their words. They should know words have weight. He's already got lawyers gathering evidence to sue those who write nonsense. I started to smile. First just a smirk, then it turned into a full-on laugh. Dave looked a bit flustered by my laughter. What's up? Did I say something wrong? I quickly shook my head. No, you're doing great. I laughed with tears in my eyes. You're really something. Though both Mike and Dave are blessed with uncommon wealth and looks, they're completely different people. One takes pleasure in toying with the weak, while the other has rare kindness and innocence. Can I still ask you out? Dave asked with a hopeful look. Why are you so insistent on me? I asked again. He laughed. Does it really matter? I could make up a bunch of answers to sweet talk you, but honestly, I don't even know. I just like you. From the first time I saw you in middle school, I liked you. It was like my world was fuzzy until I saw something so pure, and then everything became clear. That was an answer I didn't expect, and it really moved me. A lot of people seem great at first but end up disappointing you once you get to know them. But not you. His gaze was intense. The more I learn about you, the more drawn I am. Lucy told me you took all your Best Actress prize money, along with your earnings from over the years, and started a fund to provide legal aid for women in poverty. I felt a bit shy. It's not much. Lucy tells you everything. He tentatively placed his hand on mine. I told Lucy, I'll also contribute a little to this fund. Later, I found out Dave's little contribution was 10 times what I donated. My past makes it hard for me to trust anyone again. But with Dave, I'm willing to try. Back at the hotel, someone recognized me again. Someone's snapping pics of you, my manager pointed out to a group of people not far away holding up their phones, urging me to move fast. Somehow, I'm always recognized, even with a mask and hat on. In my past life, after being restricted, I wrapped myself up like a mummy, yet a male traveler on the train still recognized me and I had to listen to his jibber-jabber the whole way. These people didn't seem like fans, but maybe they'd seen the storm about me refusing photos and selfies before. They hesitated and put their phones down. Instead of speeding up like before, I stopped and took off my mask. I stood tall with the brightest smile on my face. Click. I'm not afraid anymore.